Welcome guys to another medieval battle with Midnight Games Online. We are playing Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD, which is the free mod for Total War Attila. We have a very special historical battle for you guys today. It is a 5-star battle, which is the highest replay score that any of our replays can achieve. And on top of that, it is a historical battle. This is the epic Battle of Grunwald, fought in 1410, one of the largest and most significant battles in medieval European history. In this battle, we have the Catholic Kingdom of Poland taking on the Catholic Crusader state, the Teutonic Order. Now, the Teutonic Order was the largest Crusader state and the most powerful one in medieval Europe. So without further ado, we're going to get into the army compositions. Now, if you would like to, as always, skip ahead and just fast forward to the battle itself, click the timestamp in the description below. That will take you right to the action. For those of you who want to stick around for the army compositions, we are going to get into that right away. And I'm actually going to start things off over here on the side of the Teutonic Order. Now, the Teutonic Order in this battle was played by one-handed bandit 1316. And we're going to find their general, who's over here. And this would be the Grandmaster's bodyguard. Now, this battle was fought in 1410, so that's kind of the very beginning of the 14th century. We do have a lot of or the beginning of the 15th century rather, we do have a lot of 14th century units on the field and some 13th century units too. Since, as we will see, a lot of the Polish-Lithuanian side were levies, which would not have had the latest and greatest in arms and armor. So here's the general, the Grand Master for the Teutonic Order. Here he is on his horse, right there. Got some plate armor on, 15th century. And let's take a look at his cavalry here. We do have 2 units of the late era knights, mounted knights, for the Teutonic Order. And this, here we can see them. Again, the plate armor and the black on white cross of the Teutonic Order on their chest. And then we have knights. These are the halbruder. So not the knights, whoops. But rather a type of medium shock cavalry. Let's get a closer look at them here. A lot of open-faced helms. I don't see the plate armor, a lot of them wearing chainmail. And then we have high era knights, so these are maybe some of the poorer brothers, still wearing very nice transitional armor, some of them in plate, but not quite the latest and greatest here. And more of these halbruders, so the medium shock cavalry. So that is, it looks like 8 units of cavalry plus the general for the Teutonic Order. In the front row here, well, actually that is not their units. So these 2 armies have set up sort of together. Now, in the historical battle of Grunwald, the Teutonic Order was helped by a large contingent of German knights from all over the Holy Roman Empire, or from many of the states of the Holy Roman Empire. One of the big ones was the Duchy of Saxony. Now, in this game, we did not want to break immersion and bring the Holy Roman Empire, because that would put the Holy Roman Emperor on the field, and he was not. So we brought the Duchy of Saxony to represent, which was present during the battle, to represent these Germanic states that were helping the Teutonic Order, and that sent them forces. But for now, we'll go over the Teutonic army, which was the larger army. The smaller army on this field is going to be the Duchy of Saxony, and then on the other side, the larger army will be the Kingdom of Poland, and the smaller army will be the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. So after we've done the cavalry for the Teutonic Order, here are their archers. These are the Prussian archers. They are from the 15th century, wearing light archer armor, but 15th century, as we can see by some of these helms. And that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of those units by the looks of it. So that's what Bandit is bringing, one-handed bandit for the Teutonic Order. And then we do have some spearmen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of spears. They're wearing 14th century armor. And they are the heavy spear infantry, so they do have the larger Pavis type shields. And in the second, the second line of infantry for the Teutonic Order troops, we have the Samlander swordsmen. And here we see them up close. Medium melee infantry, again wearing 14th century armor. And that would be 4 units of those that I see here. In the back now for the Teutonic Order, their shock infantry reserves. Here we have a very powerful unit, one of the strongest on the field for the infantry. These are the dismounted knights of the Teutonic Order. And here we see their captain with the straight-edged sword and the very nice-looking Teutonic shield. And most of them, though, bringing the two-handed weapons. Some battle axes and some pole axes as well. And that might be his only unit of shock infantry. They do have 1 experience point added, so they're going to be very tough. Or rather, shock infantry that's wearing 15th century armor. Here we do have some heavy axemen wearing 14th century armor. So 1 unit here and another unit over here. So that shock is going to be very tough for the Lithuanian army to handle, and the Polish army as well. That might be it for his units. He actually has a couple more here. Back here we have 15th century halberds. Right there. Good look at them. And we do have a bombard as well, which means 4 actual individual bombards as part of the bombard unit. So that would be it now for the army of the Teutonic Order. This is the larger army. We were playing on large armies, so one player would bring a large army and the other one would bring a regular army, since they were the less prevalent faction with less men on the field historically. So let's go to the other army here. The second army is commanded by Billy the Kid 17, and he is commanding the Duchy of Saxony. And here we can see the Duke of Saxony, or at least the knight leading this contingent of Saxon troops, and his bodyguard of knights. And let's take a quick look at Saxony's cavalry. Here we have the Saxon Knights, or the Saxon Ritter. And there is the knight, the captain of this unit here. And he does have the very cool colors on the shield and on his breastplate here. Straight-edged sword, visor up, and the Saxon Ritter here beside him with their lances. So it looks like 2 units of Saxon Ritter from the wearing 15th century armor, and then 2 units of Saxon Ritter wearing 14th century armor, just kind of representing the fact that this is right on that break between the 14th and 15th century. And you would see both of these types of armor on this battlefield. So some great helms as well. Clap visors, very cool. So that would be the cavalry for Saxony. So as you notice, he only has 4 in the general, whereas the Teutonic Order had 8 in the general, and we will probably see something similar on the other side. Now, Saxony does not have much of a roster in this game, so the rank and file will be these Brabanzinen Godendags, which are wearing 13th century armor. So we see a lot of chainmail, we even see some scale mail, and they're only a medium shock infantry. So these are not great troops, but they do have a good charge, a reasonable charge for infantry. And we see probably some more Godendags. Yes, here we have another 1, 2, 3. That's 4 units of Godendag that I've seen on this field for Saxony. And in the back here, we do have dismounted Saxon Ritter. So let's take a quick look at them. The Knights of Saxony dismounted. Oh, very cool looking. I love the 3 black feathers here. Straight-edged sword, single-arm sword. Some of them bringing, unlike their Teutonic Order brothers, bringing the long swords. They have the two-handed longsword here, so very cool. Mixed in with as well some pole axes, battle axes. Just a mix of weapons here. Very nice. Very cool to see. I think I see a warhammer in the back here. Right there, yeah. So that's the dismounted Saxon knights wearing the 15th century armor. And here we have the dismounted Saxon knights that are wearing 14th century armor. So let's take a quick look at them. Here's a grizzled veteran that is the captain of this unit. And very cool looking units here. A lot of transitional armor. See the coat of plates here on this knight. And as well as some longswords being brought here by this really cool looking knight with the clap visor helm. So the infantry is going to be a problem. It is elite here on this Teutonic Order side. And in the back we do see some, we could call them hedge knights, some of the poorer knights that were just looking to make some money here, wearing, they are knights, so they are quite elite, but they are wearing 13th century armor. And that's 2 units of those in the back here for Saxony. Now in the front we do have Brabanzanen, Volgers, so these are the medium polearm infantry for Saxony. If used wisely, they can do really well against Cav. And then Saxony, again, I don't think they even have bows yet in this game, so we do have a lot of crossbows here though. Those are really nice if you can get them in range, especially in an open field like this, like the Battle of Grunwald was fought in. So he does bring those crossbows wearing very light 13th century armor. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 units of crossbows for the Duchy of Saxony. Now let's go over to the other 2 players in this battle. We have the Kingdom of Poland, commanded by myself, knight. So let's quickly go over them. This is the King's Bodyguard. And here we have the King of Poland with the golden helm, and it looks like a metal mace, one-handed mace, and a shield. In full plate armor, 15th century plate armor, and the Knights of his King's Guard as well. Very cool looking Polish knights in the plate armor. And let's take a quick peek at the rest of the cavalry for Poland. We have some late era Polish knights, and it looks like 8 cavalry units to mimic the Teutonic Order's cavalry here as well, as we did have even funds in this game. And here we can see the Polish knights with a gold chevron, so a very elite unit. And then with the bronze chevron here, the Great Banner of Krakow, so the chevrons again adding experience points, the gold one adding a little more than the bronze one. But both units are representative of veteran units that have extra experience already. And it looks like this knight, leading the Great Banner of Krakow, actually has a warhammer as well. A single-handed warhammer to go along with his shield. And the Great Banner of Krakow, of course, being present at the Battle of Grunwald historically. So very nice touch to see them here. We do have more Polish knights. Again, these ones are wearing 14th century armor, which we definitely saw on this battlefield as well. Some of the coolest armor you'll see is the transitional armor of the 14th century. Love these knights with the clap visors. Some open face helms as well. Spalders on the shoulders to go with the breastplate. Very cool looking. And it looks like 2 units of those, also with 1 experience point added with the chevron. That's 4 of the cavalry units plus the general, and now we have the rest of them. These are 14th century mounted sergeants, so you would see a lot of, behind a Polish knight, you would often have the squires, you would have their servants, their men-at-arms from their household, the ones that were able to fight mounted. They came along as well, so that is represented by these mounted sergeants here, and their units are a little bigger. As you can see, the Polish knights only 53 men in a unit, the mounted sergeants with 60 men in a unit, to represent the fact that there are a little more of them. And a little bit lighter on the armor, less protection, less damage, and less skill, but still a shock cavalry unit that can be used to great effect if used wisely. So there we have 8 cavalry units plus the general for the Kingdom of Poland. In the back we do have some 15th century halberds. And over here we do have their shock infantry. And these are only 14th century shock infantry, so if you notice, they do not have that 15th century dismounted knight unit yet in this game. So these are some heavy axemen. And here we can see them. And not quite lining up to the German dismounted knights. They really should bring some of those dismounted Polish knight units into this game, as historically they were around, meaning that we do have instances of battles where we see Polish knights fighting dismounted, more often in siege battles and such. Now here we do see scale mail, we see some transitional armor too, I think over here, the quota plates, unless I'm seeing that a little bit differently than the rest of you. And I believe this gentleman here is wearing some chainmail underneath. So a nice mix of armors here on these 14th century axeman units. We're going to move up here to the Polish infantry, and we do have 4 units of sergeants, 2 of them with an experience point. So these are the veterans here. Polish sergeants, we do see curved swords, but we also see, we should see straight bladed weapons as well. Some maces, some battle axes, single-handed axe. Yes, and we do see one sergeant here with the single-handed arming sword, straight-bladed sword, and what looks like a bassinet helmet or helm. So 2 units with an experience point and 2 units without. 4 units of sword infantry wearing 14th century armor for the Kingdom of Poland. And here we see what there was a lot of in this battle historically, the levies. These are the peasant class, the levy spearmen. And even in the 15th century, a lot of them would be wearing things like this, which would be also seen in the 13th century. So they were lucky if they had any type of steel helm and any type of armor at all, but a lot of them would be wearing no armor, like we see here, or even better example in the back right here. This fighter here has no gloves, really no armor to speak of, a shield, a sword, and I think a shield and a spear, and he's kind of lucky to get a helm. So that is the levies, which rose up against the Teutonic Order. The Polish levies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, perhaps. It looks like 8 levies of 120 men each. And then in front of them we do have the Pavy spears. Now there's less of these units, looks like 6 of them wearing 14th century armor. These are the Pavy spears for the Kingdom of Poland. And in front of them we do have some Lithuanian archers in the Polish army. And that looks like 6 units of these Lithuanian archers. And there we see those. That would do it for the Kingdom of Poland. And now let's go to the last army, which thankfully is again one of those 2 armies that were small. This one is commanded by Lithovis, and it is the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, which aided Poland in this great battle. And in the back, we will go and take a look at the Duke's bodyguard. Now, on the Polish side, it was King Jagiello, I think was how you say it, in English at least. Probably butchered that. And then on the Lithuanian side, it was the Grand Duke Vytautas, which I'm sure I butchered as well. And here's the Grand Duke's bodyguard. It's a very cool looking unit. wearing the 15th century plate armor. Now the Lithuanians were more renowned for their light cavalry, but with the Duke, he is wearing the plate armor. Let's see what other cavalry the Lithuanians brought. We have some Lithuanian knights, and they are wearing the 14th century armor. As you can see, lighter armor than their German counterparts. So 2 units. Oh, well, actually 1 unit of Lithuanian knights and 1 unit of the 15th century Polish-Lithuanian Bajorija. Probably butchered that as well. So let's take a look at them. Very cool with the Lithuanian colors, very unique color scheme. And the knight captaining them with a warhammer. I thought this knight also had, nope, the knight here with the Lithuanian knights, yeah, he also has a warhammer. The like and the warhammers in this battle. All right, so that is their 2 pure shock cavalry, a 15th century armor wearing unit and a 14th century armor wearing unit. And then we have 2 units of what are called retinue horse archers. So these are medium hybrid shock cavalry. And it looks like right now there is a glitch and we only see the flag bearer and the captain here. All right, so that would be the Lithuanian cavalry 4 units to match up against Saxony's 4 cavalry units plus the generals. And let's take a look at the rest of their army. They do have some retinue archers, late era, but of course wearing only a medium bow infantry, so not wearing very heavy armor, being the fact that they are archers. And we do have some spearmen here. Spearmen wearing 14th century armor. So he brings 3 of those. Behind them there are the Lithuanian axemen. These are light melee infantry, and they do have a little bit of ammo for hurling some projectiles. Interesting to see. And we can see them here, and this is very, very realistic, as we have many troops on the Polish-Lithuanian side wearing the lighter armor, as I mentioned earlier, in this battle. So 3 units of 120 men each of those. Now behind them we have a unit of flailmen, which wasn't here at the beginning of the mod, but they have added. So that is cool. These flailmen here will be interesting to watch. And they are wearing 15th century armor, but as you can see, they're very light shock infantry. And some Lithuanian skirmishers here, again a lighter unit. It's a light skirmisher unit wearing 14th century armor, very cool. Very in tune with how this battle actually, what type of forces we actually saw in this battle. And in the back here we have some of the reserves in the army of Litholdis. In this Lithuanian army we have dismounted Bajorija here. We have some Lithuanian axemen, spearmen, and another dismounted Bajorija unit. More heavy spears here from the height, wearing 14th century armor. So the reserves here, really only with 1 lightly armored unit wearing the light 13th century armor. The rest, some of the heavier units. And some 13th century duckle heavy axemen, meaning warriors wearing 13th century armor. And here we actually see some of the scale mail. And to be more specific, lamellar armor that was famous in some of these eastern lands. And we've already seen the general, so that is it for the Lithuanian army, guys. And that is it for the army composition. So we will now slowly get ready for the actual battle itself. We're just going to set up here and get going. And I think the best view in the house might be behind this bombard unit. So without further ado, enjoy, guys, the Battle of Grunwald. Now, as we can see this bombard unit here, we did see historically a bombard unit or a number of bombards or cannons on the field on the side of the Teutonic Order. From what I've read, there were 10 of them. Only 2 were firing during the battle because some rain the night before dampened the gunpowder on the other 8. But I'm not sure how accurate those numbers were. Maybe there were more bombards firing that weren't put into that source. At any rate, we did see them historically on the field. And here we see now the Teutonic Order player moving up his bombard. And I think this is one of the few battles historically where actually in the medieval ages where artillery was put on the field. He's pushing up a halberd unit in front of his bombard just to guard it a little better. And have those halberds ready right behind the bombard in case they're needed. Now the Polish-Lithuanian army looks like it's advancing forward. And the Teutonic Order is going to try to take advantage of the fact that they did bring a bombard historically to this battle, and neither the Polish side or the Lithuanians had any artillery to counter them with. So they're getting in range, they're setting their sights, and they're ready to use every advantage that they have. For now, it might be that the Polish and Lithuanian forces are out of range. And we do see some shots. And there we go with the explosions. They do crash into these archers here, but they are in loose formation. Did they get lucky? And no, they did. It looks like first blood was drawn here by the Teutonic Order. Didn't get any spearmen, but they did get one of those archer units. And some more shots are being fired by the Teutonic Order. And again, crashing here among those archers. A few more kills here. There's a man down. Looks like 6 of them are dead. Seems like Bandit is trying to get rid of some archers, but maybe some of those units that are not in loose formation would be better targets. Saxony, or rather the Teutonic Order, pushing up archers of their own. Perhaps to get them in line with the Saxon crossbows here. A bit of a waiting game for now. Looks like both sides very patient. And it's been a while since we played this battle, guys, so I have no idea here what is or isn't going to happen. Teutonic Order just sort of marshaling their troops, pushing forward some of their archers right in front of their spears. The bombard already right in front of their 15th century halberd unit. Very elite with the extra experience point added, triple gold chevrons. And just a bit of shuffling the deck going on over here. On the right flank, the Teutonic cavalry. This is just going to be very intimidating to see for the Polish side. Just a mass of that black and white Teutonic heraldry here, pushing out to the side. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen. And it looks like my army here is responding with some of the mounted sergeants, which were sort of on this flank, moving first. So we have the Polish mounted sergeants moving, and behind them we have the true elites, Great Banner of Krakow and the Polish Knights wearing 15th century plate armor, as well as the ones with the 14th century plate armor or transitional armor moving in as well to mirror the movements of the Teutonic Order's cavalry. And this bombard, having fired a few shots with 6 kills only, again, maybe could have picked a better target rather than those archers, seeing as they were in loose formation, making them much harder to hit. And yes, the Teutonic Order now pushing their own archers to the fore. And Saxony also pushing up some crossbows by the looks of it. So just some small adjustments here by all the players. Still getting organized. And we do see the Grand Master of the Teutonic Order moving up as well. And historically, he was involved in the fight, very famously. So he's moving up as well, and he is here on the battlefield. And the Teutonic Order making sure to walk their troops and their cavalry so as not to tire them out on these plains of the field of Grunwald. And that looks very, very much more organized now, as we have crossbows in front, which do need the line of sight, and then the archers directly behind them. They can shoot their arrows over and arc their shots. And right behind them, we have the Teutonic heavy spear infantry. So this is quite a nice setup here for this Teutonic-German alliance. And let's take a look at what Lithuania is doing over here. The reserves are being, well, just repositioned, really. They're still in the back. Cavalry seems to be in what I think is loose formation here, in case that cannon chooses them as a target. And it looks like the entire army of the Teutonic Order and the German knights from the Duchy of Saxony and their men are moving up just a little bit with their own positioning. And here we do see the Saxon knights moving up, and a unit of infantry behind them, their axemen. The knights of the Duke of Saxony's bodyguard are moving up, and the Grand Master is still here behind his initial lines, behind the front lines, but getting quite close to the action here. It'll be interesting to see what One-Handed Bandit does playing as a Teutonic Order here, commanding the larger army. Billy the Kid with the smaller supporting army, representing all those German states that did help out the Teutonic Order in this battle, playing as the Duchy of Saxony. And here we do see that Teutonic cavalry. I mean, this is intimidating, guys. Just looking across and seeing these extremely well-armored and trained warriors mounted on a battlefield on the plain.
The enemy is going for our general. Protect him.
Oh, and looks like a cannon shot, because that's the only thing that could have landed back here. There it is, the cannonball itself, taking out 5 of the King's Guard. Now, I do hope that was a stray shot, because that was one heck of a general snipe. And there we see those dead knights that were bowled through by the cannonball. So he is being pulled back a little bit, just to get him a little more out of range. But that cannon, yes, it's up to 11 kills, so those 5 men of the Kingsguard were picked off by that cannon. Now that might have been a stray shot. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to an intentional general snipe. And at this point, realizing that, hey, we can't just sit back here because that cannon is going to eat up our elite troops, whether it's, the king or a shock infantry unit or a shock cavalry unit or whatnot. We have to do something. The Polish center and left flank, and then the Lithuanians on the right flank are pushing up here in order to force his engagement a little bit more before that cannon does any more damage. It still has a lot of ammo here on the cannon, and the closer the range is, the more damage it's going to do. Here we see the retinue horse archers moving in for Lithuania, and it looks like Saxony is trying to respond. Very quickly, the Teutonic Order is moving up its halberds to protect the bombard. It's leaving a path here for the bombard to fire, and it will continue to fire, but it'll protect them from any sort of quick cav action here. And the Saxon Ritter are trying to charge in against some arrow fire, but the Lithuanians, with the lighter horses, are too quick for them. The Saxon Ritter will have to pull out here. They did get showered with arrows, but their armor has prevented any kills or any deaths on their side. It does look like the Lithuanians have 0 kills so far, but getting one volley off into the midst of the Saxons. One of these crossbow units for Saxony also kind of peeling off and seemingly facing these skirmisher units, these horse archers. Yes, they are moving toward them. Now the problem with crossbows is their range isn't great in this game. And the cannon firing away, I wonder what it's targeting. And I see a shot landing here, and this is smart, shooting at infantry that is much packed closer together. Fortunately, he seems to have missed this Pavi's unit, but he did crash in among the levies, and he took out 7 with a single shot. And did he again hit that Kingsguard unit? Because there's 11 of these that have died. Yes. Again. Well, I did give him the benefit of the doubt earlier, but maybe he is just general sniping. Very unfortunate. Now the Brabanzans here are getting hit by arrow fire from the cavalry. We see that. No kills yet, and they don't seem to be in range. And the cannon firing here at the horse archers, but they are very mobile and just moving around and sort of hard to hit as a moving target. And this time the crossbows will get some shafts in, and we can hear them and see them firing away. Very clearly this unit under fire, but no kills yet in the skirmish war. And the late era Saxon Ritter are going to try for a charge, hoping for a mistake by the Lithuanian player Leopoldus, but with their very heavy armor, 90 armor, and their speed down to 70, they're not going to catch this unit with a speed of 90 with a player like Leopoldus here in command. That's going to be tough for them to try to out-trick them and close that gap. Teutonic Order, meanwhile, moving up their swords to get right behind those spears. The general now taking the center of the field, the Grand Master. I think he was thinking about joining his cavalry here, but he's going to take the center for now and command before he gets involved. The knights here ready on the right flank. The gap has closed a lot between these armies. We can see on the mini-map here just how close they are. This cannon with 24 kills and still plenty of ammunition, guys. This can do so much more damage at close range. He should be picking at targets now. Anything that's not in loose formation is an option. And it looks like two of these Verbandsinen crossbows, there's one of them, have been picked off by the Lithuanian horse archers. And as soon as they try to get in range, the Lithuanians are gone. And that unit with 2 kills, as we see. And I think they're actually drawing cannon fire. No, that cannon fire was back here. He missed the cav, but he absolutely did hit this very, very nice unit. 14th century heavy spear unit. Killed 6 men with cannon fire. He actually, incidentally, also killed 3 of these Duckle heavy axes. So some nice shooting here by the cannon. Very good use of this cannon by One-Handed Bandit with the Teutonic Order. 33 kills already and still probably 3/4 of his ammo left at least. The skirmish continues here. And 4 more men for a total of 6 of these crossbows have been picked off by Litholdus. And that's frustrating for Billy the Kid since he does not have the range. And here's possibly an attempt to charge. They're going to try to pull out now. They don't want to get too close to these halberds and these Saxon knights. So at this point, One-Handed Bandit sees what's happening, and he is going to send in some archers to help his ally. These archers have better range than the crossbows. Seven kills for the Lithuanian horse archers and 0 deaths despite drawing cannon fire and crossbow fire. I'm not sure where that cannonball went. But the bombard's still active, still looking for targets. And he might be actually manually firing these since only the one is firing at times. And it looks like we do have some movement here. Some of these halberdier cavalry units are shifting to the left. So it appears that this cav action, this skirmish action, has caused changes in the German formation. The question is, has our alliance, the Kingdom of Poland with the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, caused changes that are detrimental to the Teutonic Order and German cause, or are these adjustments going to benefit Saxony and the Teutonic Order? So we'll see. I have no idea. I guess I cannot recall this. That happened here. A balance of power here. The total man, I should say, as historically speaking, the Polish-Lithuanian alliance with a bit of a man advantage. Typically, the numbers quoted are 30,000 or so for the Polish-Lithuanian side and 20 to 25,000 for the German Teutonic Order side. But those figures, as men in history, do vary wildly, depending on which sources you read. And the Polish-Lithuanians with the number advantage, the Teutonic Order with the advantage of quality troops, meaning more armored knights than the Polish brought. Better trained troops, or more better trained troops, some of the Polish and Lithuanian troops being obviously very well trained and absolutely elite in their own right, but just less of them available on the Polish-Lithuanian side, and more peasants and burghers and levy men on the Polish-Lithuanian side. More cheap troops, you can say. Prussian archers moving up here, with these halberdier behind them, very smart here for a quick rescue in case these Lithuanian horse archers get brave. And we do see the whole line of Teutonic Order men, accompanied with their Saxon allies, moving up So this is very interesting. The Teutonic Order having split their archers and split their cavalry as well. And it looks like what I'm doing in response to this is taking two of my Polish knight units, which have the 14th century armor, and I am sending them over to Lithuania's side, because Lithuania already has lighter cavalry here. As you can see, these are hybrid horse archers than their Saxon counterpart. But now the Teutonic Order, having reinforced this, the Lithuanian wing is in danger of breaking from a cavalry charge here. So I will help them out by sending more men. And it looks like another cannon shot taking out some of the Pavi spears. So he's going after the juicy units now. 44 kills here and counting. Retinue horse archers moving around, presenting a target. Now it looks like the Teutonic Order has brought forth their elite shock infantry troops. This is interesting. Take them out of the center and put them on the flank here to back up their cavalry. The center is still having the Saxon elite troops, particularly these two units. I mean, these units are, again, wearing 13th century lighter armor. They're simply like the Brabanzanen. Whereas over here, though, we have the two units of Saxon knights, one of them wearing 15th century full plate armor and the other one wearing 14th century heavy armor. So you do have that elite reserve still in the center, not to mention the Grand Master's unit. Looks like the Bombard is being shifted over, 49 kills already. Still about 70% of its ammo left. And these elite halberds wearing 15th century armor are moving along with it. Now this one unit here of the dismounted knights actually in arrow range. And we can see they are getting hit by some of the Polish arrows. And Bandit quickly adjusts and pulls them out before they lose a single man. These two units of heavy axes, and then the one unit, absolutely elite unit of dismounted Teutonic knights. Lithuania with their own bows here at the ready. Poland as well with the bows in front of their Pavi spears. This spear unit here is quite formidable, this spear wall, as it is entirely made up of 14th century heavy spear infantry. These two units here picked up another kill, firing away at this bow unit, and he's going to go for it. It looks like Bandit is going to go for it, but the Lithuanian horse is just going to melt away. And he's getting actually dangerously close here to the Lithuanians, to the main body of their forces. And the Lithuanian horse archers firing away again as the Teutonic Order archers are trying to get set. The Prussian archers trying to get set. And these Halberdern, they are a little bit faster, so a good choice to take the medium shot cavalry to chase them, but they're still not fast enough to catch the Lithuanians. Lithuanians have shot about 40% of their arrows, and they have only 8 kills between the two of them, but they have discombobulated the army a little bit, and this detachment over here is separate from the main force. And it looks like we do have cavalry. Oh, I thought that was the charge, but instead we just have positioning here. What looks to be, yeah, a feint, perhaps. The infantry moving off to the side. I have reinforced this with my own heavy axes, as well as my pole arms here. So very interesting to see what happens here. And the anticipation's been building and building for me, guys. I don't know about you. And it looks like they are finally in missile range. And we can see some of these archers firing away. And I think I just heard that bombard firing away as well. Yes, it has. And it has crashed into some mounted sergeants, killing 7 of this unit. Luckily, that's the mounted sergeants. I am keeping these 15th century armored knights even further away. And of course, we have some Polish knights here as well, wearing 14th century armor. And I feel like the Polish-Lithuanian side, or the right Lithuanian flank, with some Polish knights smattered in, is still kind of keeping our army contiguous. We're still very close, there's no gaps. Whereas the Teutonic Order, Saxony, they have basically detached a unit of their troops. Now that sometimes can be a smart play and it can open things up, but it is risky. It is risky because you risk isolating these men. And the Duke of Saxony is hanging out in no man's land between his left flank and his center of this army. So I think Billy the Kid here, very adept and known for his general play. So we'll see what type of generalship he brings today with that Duke. And yeah, it looks like more cannon fire here against these mounted sergeants, and they have gone into loose formation as a result. That's dangerous because if they get charged in loose formation, they're going to do much worse than knights who are packed closer together. These Ritterbrüder guys, just let's take a look at them. I mean, whatever you think of the Teutonic Order and what they did, I mean, they were intimidating warriors on the field. Very, very sharp-looking army here. And we do have a bit of a missile war kicking off, guys. As I mentioned a little earlier. And there we can see the army loosing away some arrows here. Let's see here if any of these Prussian archers are feeling it yet. They're all under fire, but I don't think, yeah, 2 of them have died over here. Very nice. And on the Polish-Lithuanian side, yeah, 6, but I think that was from a bombard shot. Now there's some fire arrows being shot over here. Probably not the best choice of arrow, but it can lower morale. None of these other knight units have suffered, or archer units. Actually, this one has 3 deaths too. This one over here, I'm sure that was the bombard that did that earlier. And these horse archers are down to about 1/3 of their ammo, maybe less. And it looks like these retinue archers are actually now being targeted too by some Prussian archers lobbing arrows in, and we can see some of these arrows falling in. And I'm not sure if Oldus has realized that yet, that one of his units is in range. These units in range of this Prussian archer unit now and actually backing up the Polish archers. And so this unit getting hit from 2 sides from Bandit. That is not good for him. 12 men dead already on that unit. So that deficit here caused by the bombard already being made up by the fact that he is too close to the Lithuanian archers. He got too close. And this whole left flank, this detachment kind of being pulled back in, and I wonder if they're going to rejoin the main force of the army. This crossbow unit has been called back, so that'll be interesting to see. And these absolutely elite polearms now being pushed towards the cavalry. That is probably a smart position here. Right now they're about halfway. We'll see what he decides to do with them. Guarding this gap here seemingly for now. And now he's pushing them up. More facing the enemy a little bit. And he's plugged that gap quite nicely here. So more missiles, and it looks like the Polish-Lithuanian side here firing away, and I am actually running low on arrows almost here, which is a good thing. You want to use your arrows before the opponent has a chance to use all of his, and we'll see what kind of kills we got. We're targeting 15th century units here, so they are a little better armored. 4 kills for this unit, 6 for this unit, 16 over here, 13 over here, 21 over here, and 21 over here, versus what looks like 0, 2, and 1, and 0. And these units, again, they have not, they are getting double and triple teamed in some cases, so not a great start for Bandit here in the missile war. And finally, this one unit that's been hit by Polish and Lithuanian arrows, down to 44 men, wavering now. They can still use the crossbows though. They do have a lot of reserves, and they have some bows over here which are essentially full ammo. And the cavalry, again, getting some shots in, trying to pick off some of these medium shock targets here, medium shock cavalry targets. Lithuanian horse archers really trying to get some kills. And also just trying to be a thorn in the side of these German troops. And with that, it looks like One-Handed Bandit has pulled his archers back completely. And in the front, he now has just men in shield wall here, testudo formation for these heavy spears, and kind of daring the Polish archers to fire away. And it looks like I've actually completely stopped firing because I'm guessing I don't want to waste arrows firing into this, which makes it a very low chance of getting any kills. But the Lithuanians are still firing away here, the Samlander unit, even though they appear to be in shield wall. And the Prussian archers over here getting hit again by arrow fire, this time from the retinue archers of Lithuania. And the halberders have lost a man. There he is, man and horse. And that might have been, yeah, from these retinue horse archers. They're firing away again. And another volley lands into those halberders, but no kills on that particular volley. And the Polish Lithuanian archers have moved up, and they're firing away, but a cannon shot just ripping through the ranks of the Pavi spears, targeting the sergeants here too. 5 Pavi spears have died. One of the sergeants has died. And here we go. Polish archers here trying to use the last of their arrows. Nope, they're going to move up a little bit. There we go. There we saw some volleys go off. Some more fire arrows here. And we do have late era Ritterbruder, the Knights of the Teutonic Order, going for a charge, but the archers just in the nick of time being pulled out. And this knight unit, instead of pulling back, appears to be looking for a target, but they think better of it. And they're going to pull back. But it does look like a lot of these archers are going to target them now from Lithuania and from the Polish side. But no deaths among these Knights of the Teutonic Order with their 15th century plate armor. So just a very tactical battle. Neither side seems like it wants to make a mistake, guys. Players are just focused here on the end result, which is getting the win. And these archers here looking to use the last of their arrows. Some of them with very good numbers here. 41 kills over there, 33 kills, but some of them only 8 kills, as we see here. So they're trying to use the last of their ammo. The German side also using their arrows here. But again, 1 kill, 2 kills, 1 kill, not very good numbers over there, but they do have inferior archers here. Or actually, no, they don't. They're 15th century Prussian archers, so those are good archers. Maybe not being used as well. The crossbow is now moving up, and this is going to hurt. If they can get some shots off, and they do. I wonder what Billy is doing with this unit, though. Maybe putting them into loose formation. But getting the crossbows involved now would do big things for Saxony, because crossbow bolts are just a little bit more effective at punching through some of those armors. And this unit here as well now firing the last of its arrows, and that I think is it for my archers. They've used all their arrows. Not great numbers, but some of the units really getting up there, and when compared to those German units, they've done well. But let's see over here, it looks like the Teutonic Order is going to make their move with one-handed bandit. And that was a feint in order to try to get some archers, but he's going to pull out here in the nick of time too. And my mounted sergeants are now in wedge formation. So in yet another feint, and in the meantime he has slowly moved up his shock infantry. And I see in the back too my Polish knights with the 14th century, they have shifted back to this side. And that's because it looks like all of the Teutonic Order's cavalry is now back here. And they're going to make a move for it. I mean, the Teutonic Order still has arrows that they can use, but they didn't like the result of the missile war. Maybe they didn't see that mine were completely out yet. So it looks like the cheap levy spears are going to go in first before these Pavy spears move in. And Lithuania is still with some arrows to use. This unit with 42 kills, doing real well. And here we go, guys. The moment we've been waiting for. Swordsmen of the Teutonic Order here, chopping into some spears. Some cheap levy spear units of Poland. The battle is underway. And we can see this front here along the entire center. And arrows flitting in overhead, guys. Just brutal. And more swordsmen here going in for some charges. Against some Polish archers. And on the side here, the cavalry just itching to go. You have the Teutonic Order trying to use their shock and pole arms. And we may have our first charge here as these archers are flanked their spears, and Bandit does not like that, so here he goes. Big charge to the archers.
Our men flee the field of battle.
And that
This is a
first
shameful
wall of
display.
men falling down. But here we go, a big charge. Big charges across the entire line here. These have stopped in front of the halberds. The Polish front line just shattering. I am moving my elite knights around the back, and wow, just a huge cavalry charge at the initial shock here, and some of these mounted sergeants have actually broken. The halberds moving up to take on the Polish halberds, and it looks like the axemen are being thrown in here. We do have that one knight unit chasing Polish mounted knights. This is the elite knight unit, and they're just going to be charged and slammed into here. As well from the back, this is not going to be pretty, guys.
Enemy units have rallied and returned to the battle.
And that elite shock infantry unit has been slammed from two sides and has lost 50 men already. The King of Poland involved
Our
here,
men return to the fight.
wiping out some halberders. And he's also locked in with some Ritterbruder. And it looks like, focusing on the king here, one-handed bandit has forgotten about this unit. No, he does turn and charge them at the last second. So good on him for catching that. But the Polish knights here are wearing heavier armor than those Teutonic knights. And a gigantic brawl here. The Polish king victorious in his little skirmish here. You have some swordsmen involved. And it looks like the Pavi's spears are now involved for Poland, which has moved up. And this giant brawl here breaking out with fire arrows overhead. The Lithuanians with some patience here just waiting and waiting. The Bob are now firing away non-stop, 143 kills. And more charges here happening. Polish knights crashing into halberders. And just riding around kind of victorious here on this side. I've lost a lot of men, but it looks like the Teutonic Order
and running for their lives.
Not doing well at all. And Saxony is a little unsure what to do now. Teutonic Order throwing in their reserves against those stronger Polish Pavi spears, and Saxony setting up some dismounted Saxon Ritter as well. Now I see these crossbows here, they just don't have a target. They do not have a target. You need line of sight. You can't shoot over their own men. They could be firing over here, but they're kind of just hanging around for now. And this gigantic chaotic brawl over here, we see broken units from both sides, but it does appear like Poland, the Polish army did get the upper hand on this left flank against the Teutonic Order. So Saxony sending in some reinforcements now, and the Grand Master of the Teutonic Order getting involved. Be interesting to see what he does. Saxon Knights now crushing a archer unit that was thrown in there out of ammunition. I'm not sure if this is a glitch here, if this unit actually broke in the actual game, or maybe I was just AFK here. But
the unit is running from
some big charges against Polish knights, and the Grandmaster himself now charging in. The elites of the Grandmaster taking on the Polish knights. Some heavy axes being thrown into this large brawl here, guys. And we do have the Grand Duke of Lithuania charging in too, but he is charging into the back of his men, although that seemed to break that spear unit, and he might be coming through here. Now the Grandmaster here with only one kill on that charge, circling around, trying to find a better target. He won't charge into the back of his own men. These crossbows still not firing. Billy the Kid holding his general, the Duke of Saxony, back as this bombard goes to work. And just clearing out men. These heavy armored spears being taken out and chewed up by this artillery with 206 kills already. But will it be enough? The Saxon knights over here, circling around the battlefield, trying to get some good charges in. And they've actually gotten stuck, but they're going to pull out. And a big charge into some swords that didn't have orders. And I've got charge in the back now, and they are shaken. That unit might as well break, and it is breaking now against 15th century mounted German knights. And the Grand Master, with 68 kills already, circling around, looking for targets. And here he goes.
The men are running. Stand and fight, damn you!
That will probably break these swords, and they do break. 74 kills now for the Grandmaster's unit, but he is running low. And then the Great Banner of Krakow involved. And they do crash into some German knights here of Saxony. So another big brawl with two heavyweights going on that side.
Return to the fight.
Now the Lithuanian cavalry barely involved so far, besides of course the skirmishers, which have used all their ammo and only have 17 kills to show for it. The Rubanzen and Godendag of Saxony are being tossed in here by Billy the Kid against some Lithuanian archers. And they're doing well. That was a nice charge. And here we go, the Grand Master of the Teutonic Order with a big charge, crashing into some Polish infantry there, but risking his position. And on the other side, we do have this bombard firing away still, and some Saxon Ritter from Billy the Kid with these Saxon knights with a huge charge crashing into the Lithuanian infantry. Beautiful charge here. Now the Grandmaster fleeing and cut down by the Polish cavalry here. The Polish knights, he was in a huge risky position surrounded by Polish forces, and he charged in. And this unit looks like it's going to break. There are remnants of his bodyguard here. And what a play and what a turn of events. And they do break. The unit is shattered. So now this right flank of the Teutonic army in dire straits here. The Duke of Saxony now has to pull his general over. The risk that he's going to be challenged by some Polish knights. And a big charge from the Duke of Saxony right into the Polish forces there. Let's go into cinematic view, guys. Some Polish infantry caught in the middle there, and they're going to break as the Saxon knights take on the Polish knights in just a massive, massive collision here. But the general of Saxony, surrounded by Polish cav, they're in dire straits here, and the balance of power not favoring the Teutonic Saxon alliance at all. The artillery out of ammo too, 247 kills though. We have just over 1,000 of the Teutonic and German order against almost 2,000 of the Polish-Lithuanians. The Lithuanian cavalry now getting involved for the first time in a big way. The Polish-Lithuanian Bazarija with a charge. And here we go. Big charge. And just crashing through some Brabanzen and crossbows. And I think that will do it for this battle. As we can see, the Teutonic and Saxon units almost completely off the field. Almost 2,000 of the Polish against less than 400 of them. Unfortunately, due to a bug or glitch, we won't have the stats for this replay, but the Polish-Lithuanians do win.